Imagine being a serial killer with a kill count of over 30 women and still managing to escape from prison twice. This is the chilling reality of Ted Bundy. His high intelligence and charm not only allowed him to commit horrific acts, but also to manipulate and deceive those around him. This chilling fact about Bundy is just a glimpse into the mind of one of history's most infamous serial killers. This is the story of how the law finally managed to bring this man to justice. Bundy's reign of terror began in 1974 in Seattle, Washington. Even in the midst of a picturesque city, a nightmare was about to unfold that would haunt the residents for decades to come. Ted Bundy, a seemingly normal law student with a charming personality, harbored a dark secret. Beneath the veneer of normalcy, Bundy was a predator, stalking the streets of Seattle, searching for his next victim. His first known victim, a young woman named Linda Ann Healy, disappeared without a trace. Little did anyone know this was just the beginning. Bundy had a specific type of victim: young, attractive women with long dark hair parted down the middle. He had a chillingly methodical approach. He would often feign injury or disability to lure his victims into helping him, only to turn on them in their moment of vulnerability. His modus operandi was as brutal as it was consistent. Bundy would bludgeon his victims into unconsciousness, then transport them to a secondary location where he would commit his horrific acts. The victims would then be discarded, left to be discovered in a horrifying state, inciting terror within the community. The city of Seattle was gripped with fear. An unknown predator was preying on its residents, and the police were at a loss. As the death toll rose, so did the urgency to capture this elusive murderer. In 1975, the first break in the case came when Bundy was arrested in Utah. The circumstances of this arrest are as chilling as they are extraordinary. It all began with a routine traffic stop, a simple act that would ultimately lead to a turning point in one of the most notorious serial killer cases in history. On a cool autumn night, a local patrol officer stopped a suspicious vehicle. The driver was none other than Ted Bundy. The officer, noting Bundy's nervous behavior, decided to search the car. What he found was nothing short of alarming: a crowbar, a ski mask, rope, handcuffs, and other items that one could only describe as a murder kit. The discovery was a chilling insight into the calculated and cold-hearted modus operandi of this infamous killer. Bundy was subsequently arrested and brought to trial. The evidence found in his car played a crucial role in the prosecution's case, painting a terrifying picture of his sinister intentions. The jury found him guilty, and he was sentenced to prison. Yet, the story doesn't end there. Little did anyone know this was just the first chapter in an ongoing saga of terror and evasion. Bundy was sentenced to prison, but this was far from the end of his story. The tale of Ted Bundy, a name that would forever be etched in the annals of true crime, was just beginning. Incredibly, Bundy managed to escape from custody not once, but twice. The first escape unfolded in June of '77. Bundy, the ever-cunning manipulator, utilized his right to represent himself in court. During a court recess, he requested to use the law library in the courthouse to prepare his defense. Once there, he jumped from a second-story window and disappeared into the bustling streets of Aspen, Colorado. For 6 days, Bundy was a phantom, hiding in the surrounding wilderness and evading a massive manhunt. His first taste of freedom, however, was short-lived. He was recaptured while attempting to drive a stolen car out of Aspen. But Bundy, undeterred, was already plotting his next escape. Fast forward to the last day of December in the same year. Bundy had lost weight to squeeze through a hole he'd made in the ceiling of his cell in Garfield County Jail. He crawled through the narrow ductwork of the prison, dropping into the apartment of the chief jailer, who fortuitously was out for the evening. Walking out the front door, Bundy melted into the snowy night, his disappearance unnoticed until the next day. Bundy's second escape was a chilling testament to his cunning and determination. He would prove to be a phantom once more, this time successfully eluding capture for several weeks. He made his way to Florida, adopting aliases and altering his appearance. Even as the FBI placed him on their 10 most wanted fugitives list, Bundy managed to stay one step ahead. His intelligence and charm, once used to lure his victims, were now employed to outwit law enforcement. He committed further atrocities while on the run, proving that his time on the loose only amplified his malevolent proclivities. The hunt for Bundy became a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, with the escaped killer leaving a trail of terror in his wake. After his second escape, Bundy was on the run and more dangerous than ever. In 1978, the nationwide manhunt for Bundy finally came to an end in Florida. After escaping from prison twice, Bundy had managed to elude the authorities for too long, leaving a trail of terror in his wake. But his luck was about to run out. On February 15th, Bundy was driving a stolen Volkswagen Beetle when he was pulled over by Pensacola police officer David Lee. Bundy, ever the chameleon, initially gave a false name, hoping to avoid detection. But as Officer Lee attempted to arrest him, Bundy's true colors showed. He kicked Lee's legs out from under him and took off running. But Lee was persistent, firing warning shots and chasing Bundy down. The foot chase was short-lived. Lee managed to capture and handcuff Bundy, putting an end to the mad dash of one of America's most elusive criminals. But it was what was found in the stolen vehicle that would truly seal Bundy's fate. Inside the car, Lee discovered 3 sets of IDs belonging to female FSU students, 21 stolen credit cards, and a brochure advertising a high school play in which one of Bundy's victims had participated. This was the smoking gun law enforcement needed to link Bundy to the horrifying series of murders that had gripped the nation. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place. Bundy's stolen possessions, his resistance to arrest, and the chilling evidence found in the stolen vehicle painted a clear portrait of a man whose charm and good looks belied a horrifying truth. This was no ordinary criminal. This was a cold-blooded monster who had been hiding in plain sight. And so, in the early hours of the morning under the Florida sky, the reign of Ted Bundy came to an abrupt and definitive end. His capture marked the culmination of a nationwide manhunt that had lasted for far too long. With this arrest, the reign of one of America's most notorious serial killers was finally over. Bundy's trial was a media spectacle, with the charismatic killer even representing himself in court. It was an unprecedented event, a chilling display of audacity and a stark reminder of the dark corners of the human psyche. The trial, held in Miami in the summer of 1979, was the first to be nationally televised in the United States. Despite the gravity of his crimes, Bundy appeared to revel in the limelight, often flashing his infamous charm before the cameras. He refused legal counsel, choosing instead to represent himself, a decision that would prove to be one of many miscalculations. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Detailed descriptions of the horrific crimes, the physical evidence linking him to the scenes, and witnesses placing him in the vicinity of the abductions all pointed towards his guilt. One witness, a former co-worker, testified that Bundy had shown her a crowbar, a key piece of evidence, in his car. Another damning piece of evidence was the bite mark found on one of the victims that matched Bundy's teeth perfectly. Despite the mounting evidence, Bundy maintained his innocence. He turned the courtroom into his personal stage, using his legal background to question witnesses and attempt to poke holes in the prosecution's case. He even proposed to his girlfriend, Carol Ann Boone, while she was on the witness stand, a bizarre twist in an already surreal trial. But the theatrics couldn't mask the monstrous acts he had committed. The jury deliberated for less than 7 hours before finding him guilty of 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and 2 counts of burglary. The judge, Edward D. Cowart, sentenced him to death, a sentence he would call imposed not for vengeance, but for justice. Bundy was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison on January 24, 1989. Crowds gathered outside the prison, their cheers echoing in the early morning air as the news of his death spread. Thus, the chilling chapter of Ted Bundy was finally closed, serving as a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. His trial and execution marked the end of a reign of terror that had gripped the nation, but it also served as a stark reminder of the capabilities of evil, even in the most charming and seemingly normal individuals. His story continues to haunt us, a testament to the inescapable reality of the darkness within.